Hi, good day everyone. Welcome to This Thing As Well TV Super News. Please follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well at This Thing As Well TV Super News. Please subscribe to this my YouTube channel now. Thanks.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate. But if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Thanks for watching This Thing As Well TV Super News. Please subscribe. Choose.
There's no question that the temperatures are warmer. You can see it in the official records, and you can see it in many signs from nature. You can see it in the decreasing sea ice. You can see it in the increasing sea levels. You can see it in the changes in the time when flowers bloom or when birds migrate. There are thousands of signals of the changing climate around us.
So what we're seeing, if you'll pardon the terrible analogy, you think is just the tip of the iceberg?
Well, right now, we continue to live in a world where the emissions of heat-trapping gases have been increasing when we know they should be decreasing. It's actually likely that they'll decrease a little in 2020 as a consequence of the pandemic, but that's not the way we need to decrease them. We need to decrease them by deploying new technologies that provide the energy we need without the warming. But until the greenhouse gases are decreased dramatically, we'll continue to see warming, and that does mean that we're in the early stages of what could be an unending feeling series of disasters like the recent Western wildfires.
Yeah, I knew, as I mentioned, you are a special expert on the wildfires. I mean, there are other things that can be done as well to try and prevent their spread, aren't there?
Oh, absolutely. The way to understand the role of climate change and wildfires, which is a very important one, is that it amplifies effects of other factors that are increasing risk. And in particular, in the United States, we had a strategy of suppressing all wildfires for many decades, beginning around the Second World War and ending only 20 or 30 years ago. And that resulted in a large accumulation of flammable material. Especially in the context of a changed climate, that extra accumulation of fuel becomes almost explosive. And there's a lot we can do to reduce the amount of fuel buildup. We can also do a more thoughtful job about protecting the places where people live in terms of clearing spaces around homes, making sure that homes are as fire safe as possible, and making sure that when a fire does occur, we have trained, competent, professional fire responders, and we have a plan in place.
Yeah, I mean, Donald Trump did say as well, didn't he, that the fires should actually be put down as well to bad forest management. I mean, is that part of it as well, do you think?
Well, if we did not have climate change, we would still have wildfires, and there would be some consequences of past decisions, whether to call it bad forest management or to call it an effort to maintain forests in a fire-free condition. We definitely have a buildup of fuels that needs to be dealt with. It would be a modest, manageable problem in the absence of climate change. Climate change transforms that into a problem that is essentially unmanageable.
And the fires bring other problems, don't they, as well? For example, pollution.
One thing that's dramatic is that People throughout California have had direct experience with wildfires. And in my home, which is it's about 10 kilometers from the nearest fire, we've had air quality that's been anywhere from unhealthy to hazardous for about a month.
You mentioned as well ecology. I mean, that's something you're involved in as well. I mean, global ecology, and we're all sort of trying to do our bit, or most of us are anyway. Does that really help? I mean, can we reverse this ourselves as human beings, or is it too late?
We can absolutely reverse climate change. And you can think about the set of strategies that are available to us in 3 large buckets of things. Of course, the most important thing that we need to be working on today is decreasing the emissions of greenhouse gases from energy and industry, and that involves primarily embracing the emissions-free technologies, electricity from wind or from the sun, use of biomass for liquid fuels. There are a lot of those. A second basket of technologies is things we can do that actually remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere, and that involves a big role for ecosystems. Growing trees removes greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. Restoring forests, protecting forests removes greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. And a final set of things we can do that are deeply important as solutions is to make sure that we're all as prepared as possible to deal with the impacts that climate change pushes our way, whether it's high sea levels and the implications of more severe hurricanes, whether it's wildfires, heat waves. We can be making thoughtful investments that prepare us all to better cope with the changes that can't be avoided.
And knowing the human way of life and the way humans live and the way they act, I mean, is that really realistic? I mean, we just run a report in our last half hour from the UN saying that all the targets of nature from 10 years ago, not one of them has been met.
We have the technologies and we have the scientific understanding that we need to really solve the climate problem. What we don't have is the collective political impetus, we don't have the collective will, and we don't have the collective ambition. That's a hard problem, and I don't think there's a magic wand that lets us transition from the relative inaction of the last few decades to dramatically increased action, but there are lots of bright spots. The EU has been a bright spot relative to many places. Within the United States, California has been a bright spot. We can learn from the places that have embraced ambitious action on climate. And I think when you look carefully at where you're seeing ambitious investments in solving the climate challenge, you're seeing places that are vibrant economically and where there is a strong social fabric. I think the evidence.
Thanks for watching this is Aswa TV. Super, please subscribe. Choose.